Hello, I'm AZ Sniper Fox. The other day I was actually watching the news. It was my local news, and we got a story complaining about video games being the potential cause of death. Now, I'm getting really, really tired. Every so often, the media comes up with some way that video games are some evil monster or evil entity or whatever that is corrupting our children, raping our government, and so on and so forth, and blah blah blah. I mean, it to me it seems like almost every time they do this, it gets a little more ridiculous. Especially when it was initially that video games were the corrupter of our children. That by watching the violent images or participating in violent scenarios within these video games, it was telling our children that it was alright to go out and kill people. And while there may be one or two cases every so often that come up that someone just got a little out of hand, you know, some people unfortunately are that unhinged. They don't see that fine line between fantasy and reality, and they go a little too far. And yeah, those are the people you need to worry about. But just because there's a couple of people who have issues with that line, that division between reality and fantasy, they worry that having our kids participate is going to make them serial killers. And that's part of my concern. Just because you play video games, you're going to be a serial killer? You're going to blow up your local bank? I mean, what is this? So, but back on the topic of this story that I saw the other night, they're claiming that video games can be the cause of blood clots, which can eventually, potentially, move into your lungs and kill you. And that it can happen in as little as 4 hours. That the story was some guy in the UK was playing video games for 12 hours straight and he died. My first comment was, 12 hours? That's it? I mean, come on, I've gone longer than that. But I don't know. It's seeing this demonization of video games, complaining that they're too violent, they're too graphic, that it's going to make people think that these actions, these events are okay. And while I'm not saying that they are, I mean, video games today in many ways are extremely violent. And in some ways, yeah, I think that it's a bit unnecessary. Also, just some of the other issues that are brought up by video games, it can get troublesome, but that doesn't mean that it's going to destroy our society. I mean, we have a rating system. We have, hopefully, responsible adults, responsible parents who are going to go ahead and monitor that sort of thing for you. And it's the parents' job to filter what their kids do and don't do. Because no one knows their children better than their parents. Or that's the way it should be. I've seen many cases where parents probably know nothing about their kids. And that's sad. That's terrible. But to blame video games, I mean, you might as well blame our schools for some of the things that kids do these days. You might as well blame television. I mean, I even remember hearing at one point in time that people were saying you get ADD from letting your kids watch television at too young of an age. I just don't see it. Then again, I have personal problems with a lot of the claims relating to psychology and how accurate they may be. But from a medical standpoint, I don't doubt that sitting in one place for a great period of time, will cause a blood clot. I do know that there's... I don't have anything to quote off of, but that it can cause problems, either muscle-related or otherwise. And I don't doubt that that is a serious issue. But really, it's not video games' fault. The developers don't say, how can we rope in our customers so they don't move and they can all drop dead? I mean, that just sounds ridiculous. That sounds absolutely insane. But to me, it sounds like another poke at video games. They just see that one incident, that one chance that video games was somehow linked to the incident, and therefore they're going to slap its video games. I mean, in my past vlogs, I've mentioned that I'm a sane individual. I can differentiate between reality and fantasy. I don't play out something that is mass murder and then go outside and think, let's throw around a couple Molotov cocktails and see what happens. Because that's ridiculous. It's insane. But now we're assuming that this is just going to happen with all kids. It gets to me. It really does. I've heard some ridiculous stories. I don't know the credibility of them. Things like trying to ban Final Fantasy VII for Tifa's chest being too big. I don't know the validity of that, but I mean, still, things that are just passed around the grapevine, it has to come from somewhere, and it's ridiculous. I mean, video games are not a problem. They've actually been proven to be a form of stress relief, and keeps high-strung individuals who, under their current stressful situation and their stressful surroundings, could potentially snap, become unhinged, and go on a mass killing spree. And because of video games, they can come home and take it all out on a bunch of pixels. And that's all you're doing. You're just killing pixels. They're not real people. We all know that they're not real people, that they're just images. And it's like going out to a firing range, you know. You're shooting targets. They're not people, they're cardboard cutouts. There's a big difference. And it's a great way to relieve stress. It's a great way to vent. It's a great way to, you know, you might as well, it could actually be honestly the equivalent of going to a psychiatrist and ranting about your problems. Will it give you feedback? No. Do I recommend it? Well, I do. I've had days that I've just been so angry at the world, and then next thing you know, I go home, I play video games, I'll play Counter-Strike, rename a bunch of bots by whoever I'm pissed off at the time, or what company I'm pissed off at the time, and I do that. And I do that for a couple hours, and then I'm relaxed. And I do a lot of work on the computer. I spend a lot of time at the computer, a lot more than 4 hours, and I have no problems. I'm not saying that the validity of this medical evaluation is incorrect. I'm just saying that video games really isn't the cause of it, and they shouldn't make it sound like they shouldn't try and spin it in that sense. I mean, I think video games are a great thing, and if anything, you know, if the zombie apocalypse does come around, now you know to grab a shotgun instead of saying, Mom, are you okay? So, anyways, thanks for listening to me rant here, guys. It just really pisses me off when they see the slightest hint of video games and they go straight for it. It's ridiculous. It's uncalled for. And that's our social media. So, once again, I'm AZ Sniper Fox, and I'll see you guys in the next one.